Hello everyone, I'm really excited to see you now at this late hour for the European people, in very early hours for the Asian guys, but in the perfect time zone maybe in the US market. We have a really exciting situation currently with the cryptos. Many of you are trading the cryptos already, and I don't need to convince you to have a closer look at that market. However, even if you're not willing to trade the cryptos, you should follow this video because the situation we see here is really exciting, and it's really a typical one you can use for many different markets. In this case, we have a focus on the Bitcoin, and we want to check what the situation is there. Is there really something big going on? And I think yes, we should prepare for even more. However, it is not as simple like buy and get rich in a few minutes. It's not as simple. However, we have a good chance to be on the right side if we can read the market situation there, and it seems to be a really awesome one. So I want to share this idea with you so that you can apply this idea for your own needs and whatever you prefer for your own trading style. So I switch off the cam so that you can focus on the real important thing here in the market, and that's the chart. We are looking at the charts. Maybe if you're not common to what I'm doing or not knowing what I'm doing normally, you should, I should do it a little bit louder. I will switch it. Give me a second. I have to set the microphone, is sometimes going down a little bit. Should be better now. Thanks for your help in this case. What I want to share you is a situation which I really like. It's something you can see in many crypto markets currently. It's not only with the Bitcoin, it is on many others as well. Ethereum, for example, Sui, for example, it's many others. You have roughly the same picture. So if you want to split your ideas up to many different markets, you should do that. What we want to do here today is chart analysis. So we don't focus on the background, like, yeah, geopolitically it is clear that the US dollar is doing this and that, and the people are fleeing from this or that market. What we care for here is the chart technical situation. And this is giving us an impression what the market participants currently want to do. So our focus currently is, what are the other players in the market doing? Is this helping us? And is this giving us good opportunities to enter the market? And I think yes. Just to give you an idea what we are doing and to get familiar with the situation I normally have an eye on, let's switch to the big picture a little bit. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin against US dollar. And let's see what we have seen here. We have strong movements here. We have typically corrective patterns here to the downside. We have this on different time scales. You can see it sometimes on a really low time scale. I don't want to switch back so far now, but you can see also in a bigger time scale that we have strong movements into one direction and really typical corrective patterns into the other. How can you define which is a corrective pattern and which is a real impulsive, the main trend situation? If you see it moving in one straight line, for example, this is a main trend. We call it an impulsive move, for example. Another part could be if you have some pauses, some setbacks, but these setbacks are not overlapping at all. You can see same sized setbacks, but you can see this low is way higher than this high here. So we don't have any overlappings. You can see it here, for example, with similar sized setbacks. There's a big difference. Also here on lower time frames, you can see the same. And you can see we have a big setback here and we have a quite big setback here. And they are not overlapping. There's a small gap between these lows and highs here, which is indicating that the main trend is still upwards, and it's quite a strong one. So that's the first good one. The second is, how can we define what a corrective pattern is? It's quite obvious in this case here, because we can see this market is going back and forth, meandering into one direction and moving a little bit into both directions. And you can see it is a down movement. It's going to lower price levels. However, the counter moves inside this movement are overlapping. So if you see something like this, it is a quite clear indication that if you see some behavior like this, moving back and forth with a lot of overlapping, it's not the main trend. It's a counter trend, a corrective pattern. So that's the easiest way to decide between both. There are some other corrective patterns, and a simple one and really obvious, many people can see it on the first glance, is if the market is doing something like an ABC pattern, which is a three-wave pattern, and you can see we have lower highs and lower lows. This is quite easy. Just for the professionals, we as Elliott wave traders, we know another typical setback, which is also three-wave, but then this is the same height. This is a little bit more difficult. I don't want to stress this in this video. We can talk about this situation later on. But if you have a situation like this, it is also a corrective pattern with a corrective first part, a corrective second part, and very often a really strong last part. Maybe you have seen this several times and asking yourself, well, the market came down so strong, however it retraced or came back in a V-shaped recovery, something like this. This is also some kind of a corrective pattern. We don't need this today because the market is playing really obvious currently. And let's zoom in step by step and see what the situation currently is. We had a quite strong setback here. And after this setback, we had a move to the upside. And if you compare both sides, which one is the stronger one? You can also see here we had some setbacks inside here. We can question a little bit which is belonging to which one. But you can see most of them are connected with strong movements, and most pauses in the market, sideways situations here in the market are not overlapping. So it's a strong sign that this is not the main trend. That this is the main trend. This is not the main trend here. This is a counter trend. This part here, the down movement. And this part is the main trend because it is looking like an impulsive move into the direction of the main trend, which was upside. So we had a strong movement to the upside before. You could see partly here, you could see partly here, wherever, and also here on the lower time frames. And we currently had this situation here as well. So this is a really obvious thing here. But after any of these strong movements, we need some kind of a breather, some kind of a break, some kind of setback. And it might be something like an ABC pattern, or maybe something like moving back and forth a little bit more often. So that's something indicating what we see so far, even if it's maybe continuing a little bit longer, seems to be the weak situation. But if we have this as a strong movement, this part as a counter movement, we can expect whenever the counter movement is over, that the market will continue into the strong direction, which was on this time frame and even on the bigger time frame, an obvious bull market situation. So it is best guess to see that whatever the market partitions are doing currently is indicating to higher price levels. The question is this corrective pattern over already? Or will it indeed continue a little bit more? If you're not too keen to know about this, then you may think about having your stop for this idea here below this point. As long as the market is strongly up, yes, we have this, and continuing to the downside, but staying above this level, everything is okay, indicating that the market will continue to higher grounds. So if you don't want to do a really strong trading approach, if you want to have a little bit more an investment approach and saying, I'm not so much keen in going in and out there. I just want to be on the right side and I don't want to sit too long on a position while it is on the wrong side. Then you can at least say, okay, as long as the market is staying above the, let's say 75,000, everything should be okay. Because if the market is continuing really strong, perfect. If the market needs a little bit more time here, yes, it will take a little bit more time, but subsequently it is the better chance that the market will continue into the strong direction. So this is the easiest approach for all the investors beyond you. And let's have a closer look for the more sophisticated trading approach. Could it be that this is already the finished corrective pattern? First of all, I like to use Fibonacci, which is really, really useful to classify the size of a movement. And for this, you can use the normal Fibonacci tool. This is all standard. It's nothing really special or you have to pay for or whatever. This is all plain vanilla chart technical analysis. With every chart technical program can help you in dealing with these things. The lowest point was here, and currently the highest point was here. And you can see here some of the Fibonacci levels. And really typical is that you have a setback roughly, if you have a setback, roughly to these levels, 38, 50, 61.8. However, I want to stress, it is not focused on exactly these lines. Very often it is really close to a single of these lines, but not necessarily all the time. However, it should be somewhere roughly here, a little bit higher than the 38.2. It could be a little bit lower than the 61.8. Most of the corrective patterns, the full correction of a movement, is roughly in this area. Many of you know that I'm more trading stocks normally, or FX. In this case, it's really working very, very well. The crypto market is a little bit more volatile, so it can happen that the market needs a little bit more. For example, the old players know that sometimes these setbacks came down really, really strong. It is roughly the same situation we were talking about before, but you can see if you measure this, because of a logarithmic scale we have here, Fibonacci very often is a little bit lower than we would normally expect. Not this 38.2, 50%, 61.8, but sometimes even the lower one, the 78.6 level. It looks a little bit awkward here, but that's because of the strong movements we've seen here. We need a logarithmic scale, and then it's a little bit awkward from the positioning, but it's a little bit more very often with the crypto market. So we have to allow bigger setbacks. However, since more and more ETFs and professional players are coming into the markets, the more the movements seem to apply or to adapt to these levels. So I think it's really useful to use these Fibonacci's to have a clue. Could this be a suitable setback for this movement? Can it be over and the market continue to the upside? And I would say yes, we've at least reached the first level, and I see a big chance that this might be over. However, we have an additional good thing here, and that's really awesome, and this is giving us some extra power for our trading idea, for example, here with the crypto market. What you can see here is on a lower time frame, this one. Let's have a check on, for example, an hourly chart. What do we have here? This is exactly the same what we've seen here. This is only on a magnifier glass here, on a lower time frame hourly chart. You can see here we had the setback, strong movement, maybe here a little bit of setback, and this. So question is this one a corrective pattern? Is this one an impulsive move? What is it? And quite obviously, this looks like another impulsive move, a new main trend. So it's indicating, okay, after this strong movement to the downside, we now have something indicating as a new impulsive move. What I'd like to see now is some corrective pattern down with overlapping, ideally somewhere into the Fibonacci zone here. which is giving me a good chance that this movement here is continuing to higher grounds again. With the same argumentation like before, we could think about stopping the situation here, because anything as a corrective pattern can happen here. But as long as it's corrective and as long as it's staying above the lowest point here, which is roughly, I don't care for the exact numbers, but 98,000, let's say 800 or 700 something. As long as it's staying roughly about this level here and coming down in the corrective pattern, everything seems to be still in the same idea. Strong move to the upside, corrective move to the downside, and a continuation later on to the upside. We have to think about when to enter, but we now know there's a big potential for higher prices. Let's just apply here the Fibonacci level, just raw. You can see we have a little bit more room to go. If I have a free wish, I would wish that the market is coming at least to the upper side of this level. Why do I wish for? I'm not against the bull market, but I want to see the market have some break. It's like if you bet on a sprinter or someone, a sportsman, and he or she did a good job already, and you say, after 40 kilometers for the marathon, it's a great one. I guess it's another 40 kilometers. It's a little bit too late. Give him a chance of a break, and after that we can continue. So I want to have a clear break in the movement, some pause, so that the market can gain some strength, collect some money again, and then continue to the upside. So what I want to see is a setback, ideally roughly around this, not necessarily exactly these levels, but roughly into this area. And I want to see that this movement is not looking strong like this one. It should look either ABC like, which is giving us an entry point above this level, for example, or very often, and I prefer that, to be honest, because it's clearly looking corrective, something like a shaky move to the up and the downside. You can apply, for example, some trend channels, and you can also have an entry point over the last intermediate high to enter the market into the strong direction, which was this one. So you have an entry point to a continuation to the upper side here. So it's not given. I don't know whether this will happen, but it's really easy to just sit and wait. Do we have something like this here? If we get something like this, I have a good entry point here to enter the market long and to expect that the market will continue to higher grounds here. I really love this situation. And now the good point. If the market is going this way, at least continuing, very often, if you have the first movement, you can adapt the second movement the same length. It's not exactly the same, but very often it is roughly the same length. Switching back to the daily chart, you see, oh, if the market is really going here, we ended also this corrective pattern, which is indicating that the market may continue this one as well. So we have, from the small picture and hourly chart, for example, we have a good idea that the market has opened all doors for not only a small move to a new all-time high, but opened the doors for way more to go, maybe continuing this level, and after ending this movement, even maybe, we don't need to decide it now, but even to way higher grounds. I don't want to promise that. There are some other aspects. Maybe the market later can have a break, and a bigger break here. We can talk about this in the future. But if I have a chance to enter the market here, seeing that the market is maybe fast and strongly moving away from my entry point, I can be quite satisfied and waiting and say, okay, I'll trail, I'll stop, I keep some position, maybe take some profits here to have some intermediate profits. to counter maybe setbacks, whatever. I'm in the convenient situation that I don't need to be afraid about the next movements, whether this will happen or even stronger movements, what many people expect will happen in the future with the crypto market. So even if you're not a big fan of Bitcoin so far, because you say, this is a market I don't understand, or I never traded this before, I never had an eye on it. You can see that the normal, typical chart technical rules apply here as well, as we know them from the stock market, from the indices, from the FX market, the currencies, for example, for gold and silver and other markets. This works here as well. It worked in the past quite well, by the way. And currently we have a really nice situation giving us exactly these wonderful entry points, or the chance to get these entry points. So we have a good chance that the market is continuing soon to higher grounds. We have maybe to accept that the market will go a little bit lower, continuing a little bit lower. But even then, everything above this level is still a typical bull market. And if the market indeed is coming down, in case it wants to, it should not move like this, what we've seen here. So this is my indication on a lower time frame. This looks quite well and giving me the better chance that the market will continue to higher grounds, because this on lower time frame is already the strong movement again. And if the market now is coming down in a corrective pattern, I see way, way better chances for continuing rising prices. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I don't want to make it super long with this video, because I know for many people it's now a weekend and you don't want to care for the markets now maybe. But I think the situation is so exciting currently. And it's such a perfect way to learn these rules of strong movement, which is an impulsive move, and corrective patterns, which are counter trend moves. It is so obviously and such a perfect extra chance, I think, that I want to show and share the situation with you, so that you can decide whether you want to try this, or at least have a closer look for the next days, whether the market is coming back in a corrective pattern or not. If you like this kind of videos, if you like this kind of lives, I want to try to do this very often in a live session. So if you have some questions, maybe today it's not so many reasons for questions, but if you have questions also in the future, I want to have this kind of sessions more and more live, so that you have a chance to ask questions. So please subscribe to this channel, so that you don't miss the opportunity when I'm talking to other traders, or when I'm analyzes this or similar situations in the market, so that you can see them, following them. So from now I want to do way more often. So I think it's quite useful that we meet here on this platform way more often in the near future. So crossing my fingers for this exact situation. I'm really curious what happens here. I maybe will keep you updated, but this is the raw idea, with a really good chance for the near future that the crypto market at all, but especially the Bitcoins, can move way, way higher, at least in the moment. And I wanted to share this situation. So please give a thumbs up if you liked it. Have a wonderful weekend, and looking forward to seeing you soon again. Good luck for your trading. Bye-bye.